Okay, well, thanks for joining us again. I hope I can tell this story straight. My husband and I have just spent the last 20 minutes reliving this experience that we had down in Mexico. This was just a couple years ago. I want to tell you who the characters are in this story. There's myself, a very minor character in the story. My husband, the main character, our manager and partner, Eduardo, and a friend of ours. His name is Steve. Okay, Steve was visiting us. We had hired him to do some work for us on a short-term basis, about 2 weeks. So he arrived, we picked him up at the airport in Chetumal, and he stayed with us for 2 weeks. And he didn't have any vehicle or anything to use. So he was using my manager partner, Eduardo, had a spare moped that belonged to his wife. So he was kind of using that to scoot around in when he needed to leave the hotel. We have the other character, the main character of this story is our Nissan truck. It's a work truck. Eduardo, our manager and partner, often uses this truck to do things, personal things or whatever, but we have an unspoken agreement that he always checks with us to let us know that he's taken the Nissan for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter to us, just so we know that who's using the vehicles. Anyway, on this particular day, my husband was doing some work on our generator. We're completely off the grid down here, so that's our source of power. So he was servicing the generator across the beach road where the little apartment is that we were living in. That was from the last story, I think, or the story before. Anyway, he was over there working in the generator room. And when he went in the generator room, the Nissan is parked right there beside the generator room. And when he went in to work on the generator, the Nissan truck was there. Our Nissan truck was there parked. But when he came out of the generator room, the Nissan truck was gone. So he thought, I guess, well, somebody took the Nissan. And the first person we think of course, is our manager and partner. But he always says something to us, you know. So my husband looked around to see if he could see our manager partner's motorcycle, red motorcycle. And he didn't see it because Eduardo lives 2 miles away. So if he was going to use the Nissan, he would have driven out to the hotel with his motorcycle, left it parked over there by the generator room, and taken the Nissan and proceeded to do what he was going to do. But his motorcycle wasn't there. So my husband thought, well, maybe he came into the restaurant or something, or the hotel where the office is. He's probably parked across the street. So he walked across the road into our parking lot, and Eduardo's motorcycle wasn't there either. So Dave's thinking, wow, well, maybe Steve took the Nissan, our friend that didn't have transportation. So my husband came in the office and said, have you seen Eduardo? And I said, no, Eduardo hasn't been here. And he said, because somebody took the Nissan, and Eduardo's motorcycle's not here, I guess it was Steve. And I said, well, I guess it was Steve. I'm a little surprised that he didn't say something to us if he was going to borrow it, but maybe we were unavailable. So yeah, it's probably Steve. And it'll be back. Don't worry about it. So we, kind of lumped along for an hour or two that morning, and the Nissan was still gone. But when my husband went back over across the street to finish his work on the generator, there's the Nissan. And he saw Steve sitting in the Nissan behind the wheel. So it's solved. Steve was the one who had the Nissan. So my husband finished his work in the generator room. He came over into the office, and the beer truck arrived for a beer delivery. They come once a week. They've been coming once a week. Basically the same guys for 8 years or 7 years. Anyway, the beer truck pulls up, and the beer guys come in the bar in the restaurant to find out what we need in the way of beer. And we placed our order. And as they were bringing in the cases of the beer, the one little guy that we know so well said, hey, I saw Eduardo this morning. Where was he going? And Dave said, oh, I don't know. I have no idea what he was doing this morning. And the beer guy said, well, he was in your Nissan. And Dave said, he was? And the guy said, yeah, he was in the Nissan. I mean, he waved to us, and we waved to him, and he looked like he was headed to Mahawal, this little town not far from where we are. So now we're really confused. Dave already saw Steve behind the wheel and saw when the Nissan came back. Yet the beer guys who've known Eduardo for years waved to him, recognized him. He's in our Nissan and he's on the road that morning to Mahwah. So Eduardo finally came into work and we said, where did you take the Nissan this morning? You went to Mahwah? He said, I no take a Nissan. And we said, well, the beer guys said that they saw you, in our Nissan on the way to Mahwah this morning. He said, I don't take the Nissan. I always ask you. He got real defensive. And I said, honey, calm down. It's not a big deal. But the Nissan disappeared, and the beer guys saw you in it, and so we figured you had an errand to run and probably couldn't find us. He said, I didn't go to Mahwah this morning. I wasn't anywhere. I was home. I went fishing a little bit. I stayed home. I played with my little girl. And I didn't leave town, and I certainly didn't come out, and I would never take the Nissan without checking with you first. So then we thought, well, I guess the beer guys were mistaken. It must have been Steve. So when we saw Steve walking around on the property a little later, I approached him and I said, so Steve, what did you need the Nissan for? I'm not trying to get in your business, but you used the Nissan? And he said, I haven't used the Nissan. I got this moped that Eduardo loaned me. I've been using that. He said, I didn't take the Nissan anywhere today at all. And I said, well, Dave saw you in the Nissan over where we park it. He said, I haven't been in that truck all day long. So, here's the deal. I think everything that ever has happened, is happening, or ever will happen is happening right now. There's not this, and we've all read this. I don't know if there's the science to support it yet, but certainly I think our experiences are proof of this. And I think this is it still baffles us. This story still baffles us because I think that time is not this past, present, and future thing. It's not this line. It's more like this, that everything that has ever happened, ever will happen, and is happening right now is happening right now in this moment. And I think all of those things, the fact that my husband saw Steve in the truck, even though Steve says I wasn't in the truck, I think that happened. I think that in some parallel dimension or parallel universe, that everything is really so close to being the same, but there's just that one little element that's a little bit different, I think that happened. I think Eduardo was in that truck too that morning on his way to Mahwah. I think that happened. Anyway, something to think about. It still baffles us. So we'll move on with another story, but thanks for watching.